Today's Movie Lovers Unite podcast episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We decided to partner up with BetterHelp because we know that therapy can help save lives, as well as help mental health, and BetterHelp will help you find the right therapist for you without waiting in a doctor's office. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work, not dealing with the stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, or even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you do. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp and Movie Lovers Unite. Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/www.betterhelp.com/movie lovers unite. That's betterhelp.com/movie lovers unite and get your 10% off today. And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. And with me today, I actually have Rossie McCree. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
And as everybody knows, today is the day that we're doing our review for Training Day. This movie is a fantastic film. It stars Denzel Washington. It also is directed by Antoine Fuqua. And it also had a budget of $45 million and made $104.9 million at the box office. And this also has Ethan Hawke, Scott Glenn, Cliff Curtis, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and like I said, it has a good cast. And not to mention the soundtrack is just as good too, because I also am a big, huge fan of Cypress Hill. And you actually get to hear Cypress Hill's music of rock superstar, a rap superstar that's actually being played in the background in one of the scenes, which actually fits Denzel Washington's character. But anyways, this movie opens up to LAPD officer Jack Hoyt, who's up for a promotion and is assigned to Detective Alonzo Harris, who's a highly decorated narcotics officer for a one-day evaluation. And I definitely love how he ends up getting that phone call from Denzel and everything, and he's already nervous as all get out already. And then he gets the call. He's like, "Look, you ready? You're gonna do this or what?" And basically, Jake's character winds up saying, "I don't know about." He tells his wife, he goes, "I don't know. I feel like I'm trying out for sports right now because that's how he is." But I can actually imagine that because it's Denzel Washington, and Alonzo is that type of person where you actually have to be on your toes the whole entire time and everything. But what did you think of the opening scene?
I love the opening scene. I love how Jake is, like Jake was a all-star. I think he was a wrestler or something in high school. So him referring to feeling like he's trying out for sports, he can relate to that. But I love the scene when he meets up with Lonzo at the cafe, I guess, or the little diner.
Yep.
And the back and forth that the two of them have. And Denzel Washington, his character is cool, slick, cunning. Jake's just like a deer in headlights, and Jake is the type of cop that you want. He wants to save the streets. He wants to save the world. He's that really good cop, and he goes by the book. And unfortunately, he doesn't understand that he's in for a ride of his life, and the movie takes off. I mean,
from the opening thing of him, Jake just talking to him while he's reading the paper. And Denzel Washington says 99% of the things that happen in the paper is all bullshit. And then he tells him, he goes, "Okay, well, why don't you tell me a story?" And Jake's like, "What do you mean tell you a story?" He's like, "Well, since I'm being interrupted and everything because you keep on talking to me. I want you to tell me a story. And I like how he goes into the specifics of why he wants to become a cop,
Yeah,
why he wants to pursue what he's doing. He's like he'll do anything for this position,
right.
and he does not understand the can of worms he did by saying that because Denzel
Right.
Washington is that kind of character. It's like, oh, okay, you'll do
Mm,
anything for this. Okay, let's see how much you can
exactly.
take working with me, so you can get what you want.
And Jake he was a ticket officer, he did the regular, gave out tickets, your basic officer. But what he wants to do is he wants to get into the narcotics unit to eventually become a detective. So that's his whole goal. And, Denzel puts him to the test. So you want to take it from there, our ride into that beautiful, was it a Monte Carlo?
Yeah, that Monte Carlo. I have to say that thing was beautiful. To be honest with you,
Yes. Go
oh,
ahead.
I mean it. I don't know what it is with characters wearing black and having a leather jackets and stuff like that, but for
Yeah.
Denzel, he just makes him a badass. To be honest
He's
with
just
you,
a pimp.
and it goes into the whole entire deal where you see these kids who are getting crack from these drug dealers,
Right.
and you know he pulls them over and he goes, "What the hell are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be in school?" "Yeah, we're skipping and everything. I'm sorry, officer." And he's like,
Mm.
"Well, what do you have there?" "It's a pipe. My mom bought it for me." "Oh, really? Let me have that." "And what do you have over there?" And then next thing you know it, he winds up getting back inside the car, letting the kids go. But I loved how the teenagers are all looking at him like, "What the hell? We were supposed to be taken to prison for this." You
They were
know?
freaked out. I mean, the poor girl in the back seat that's, moving her hands, and Denzel tells Ethan Hawke's character, Jake, watch her. Make sure you know where her hands are at. These kids are frightened. They're suburban kids. They're in a gang neighborhood to buy some dope, some weed. And he scares the shit out of them. He literally does. And so even Jake is kind of, what the hell's going on here? Because
Right.
to him, we're supposed to arrest them. You know, they have drugs on him. So, anyway, they leave the kids. He let the kids go. The kids are frightened out of their mind, pissed off. Jake gets in the car, and I think at that point he's kind of, starting to question a little bit. But
Yeah,
it's okay. He let the kids go. No big deal.
yeah, and another thing though too is he's like sometimes you got to let the little small fries go and get
Right.
the big ones,
Right.
because here's the thing: this is for the cleanup crew. This is not for us. We're the big
Right.
guys. The big guys
Right.
don't take out the small trash.
Right.
So we're just gonna go on ahead, let the people who write tickets basically. I'm not going for verbatim or anything like that, but that's basically what
Yeah.
we're
But
saying. We're just gonna go on ahead, get the
exactly.
street cops to take out the small fries. We're
Right.
narcotics. We're gonna take out the big guns. But then Jake thinks that's going to happen on that day or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But instead,
Hmm.
Alonzo puts a gun to his head and makes him smoke their weed. Then he finds out finding his PCP that he
Right.
smoked.
Which
And
he doesn't know. Jake doesn't know that
right,
it's PCP, and he doesn't even want to smoke the weed because
no,
this is your all American kid that he wants to be a good cop, so he's not into that, and he's forced to do it. He does it, and the high begins. I mean, they're driving around the city. Jake he's having a high that it's not a weed high, because the way the
no,
camera is showing you his outlook, there's something more than that. So I think that's when they're riding around, and he ends up telling Jake what he's smoking on.
right, because that's when he says, "So, you smoked weed back in the day?"
Right.
And Jake's like, "Yeah, I smoked weed back when I was 16." And he said, "Oh, okay. So you never done any PCP, nothing like that?" "Nah, man, nah, I never done anything like that. I just smoked weed and that was it." He goes, "Really? Well, today is your first day that you actually tried PCP." And all of a sudden,
What
just starts
Angel does, every
right.
name for it. Yeah.
He starts wigging
And
out. He goes, man, I'm going to get arrested for this. I'm going to lose my badge for this and everything. They're going to drug test me. And this is Alonzo. He goes, man, don't worry about that and everything. It's all good. It'll be fine. Come on. We're going to go on ahead and go up to this other guy's house real quick and everything.
and that's when we head to Roger's house.
Yeah, Roger's
And
house.
Roger is an ex-officer. What I got from it was he was Denzel when Denzel was Jake, basically.
Right. And
You
here's
know,
the thing.
good.
Right.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, though. He says, I used to be like you and everything. And I used to want to take down everybody that I saw and things
Right,
like that. He said, but you have to realize the trash has to take care of the trash. And you have to let
right,
the big ones, the little small ones go and end up with the big ones because that's what really matters. Those little small
right.
things, they don't matter. But then I'm thinking to myself, was he like this all this time? Was Denzel Washington Alonso, was he like this? Or was he just BSing him just to get Jake to do whatever he wants him to do?
You know, I was thinking between Roger's conversation with Denzel as they're going back and forth, and reminiscing and everything, and some of the things that Roger's saying, to Jake, like basically confirming that Denzel was, that bright-eyed kid like you, wanted to save the world, be a hero, and so I believe that when he first started, that he was like that. He
Right.
really did want to do the right thing, and then got introduced to Roger, and Roger took him under his wing and end up corrupting him.
Right. Because he was probably like, okay, either join them or you that's it. That's the end of your career.
Exactly. And you're
You
seeing
know?
them make money,
Right.
you
And
know
right. And then also too, this is another thing too, before we get out of Roger's house, we actually see this teenage girl getting raped by these other crackheads on the
that's
streets.
right, that's right,
And then, Ethan, of course, Jake goes on ahead, gets out of the car, and goes on ahead, tackles them down, beats them
right,
up, puts them in a strangulation hold, chokehold, and handcuffs them.
right.
And the girl runs away.
Yes,
And
but one thing I want to say really quick. So before the
yes,
girl she's an important character in this
yep,
movie because we find out more about her later on. But in that scene, before she leaves, she does yell at the guys who tried to rape her and say, "My brothers, my cousins are going to get you. You're messing with the Vatos," and So I just wanted to put that in because we're going to revisit her later on.
right, exactly. And then Denzel's like, my man,
Right,
you
right,
because man, you one cold-hearted motherfucker right there. You
right.
did a really damn good job right there. That's what I'm talking about and everything. But we got to go on ahead and let them go. And the look on Jake's face is like, what?
Yeah, to him, they're dangerous.
Right,
Like they just tried to rape this girl. They got drugs on him. But he did get to see one thing about Denzel's character, Lonzo, was when Lonzo came in, roughed him up, and then took the one crackhead guy, put him up against the fence, and had a gun to his head, took the knife out, and then, hit him in his dick, basically. And that scene there let Jake know there's something not right with this guy. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
There's
Like,
right,
and he wants to take the guys to jail, but Denzel tells him, we don't need to take them to jail. We already got them back. They're hurt right now. And as a matter of fact, that girl that they raped, her kin will come and probably kill him before the night's over with anything. So that's handled. Let it go. So Jake then is, what the hell? This guy has already gotten laced my freaking weed. You know what I mean?
right.
He let the kids go. Now this situation. So yeah,
Right. And then, of
yeah,
course, as we were talking about with the dirty cop and everything, too, they're actually having conversation, reminiscing about everything, too. And I love that scene because there's a lot of history there and gives you
yeah,
a lot more stuff without having to go through a flashback to understand Alonzo's character. He's
right,
just telling them the story of Alonzo, his origins and everything, and where he came from
Yeah.
from being the cop that Jake is to being the
Yeah.
corrupt cop, like you mentioned. And then also liked how Denzel's drinking, and then after that he puts his drink down and goes, "Okay, let's go." And it does. Here's the thing: usually when movies do that, it makes you feel like you're watching a film,
Yeah.
but it makes you
Yeah.
feel like, okay, I'm on this road trip with them because of the way the
Yes.
camera angle is. Because
Yes.
it's like, okay, bye, dirty cop, we're out.
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it makes us feel like we're part of the ride, and that's what I love
Yes.
about certain angles of film because of the fact that it makes us feel a part of it and
Yes.
everything. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was actually in that car with Denzel and with Alonzo and with Jake, and I'm along for the ride.
Yeah. You're
And
kind of scared for him, you don't know where he's going to take the kid, and the kid thinks that at some point they're going to head back to the office. And
right,
Denzel tells them, we are in the office as they're sitting in the car. This is the office.
right.
So this is something that Jake was not expecting.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And then also too, remember another thing though that happens. I'm not going to go by order of what happened and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Right.
but
Right.
um I remember when they said, "You know what? We have to meet up with the rest of the guys.
Yes.
We're going to have a meeting." And it winds up being in a restaurant with all the other corrupt cops.
Yeah. What do they call them? The three wise men.
Yep, the three wise men.
The three, and I think I wrote their names. You got Tom Berenger, Raymond Barry, and Harris Yulin, and which is Doug, Stan, Lou, and Doug. Those are your three wise men. Those guys are that's the top, dirtiest of the dirty. Yes, and we learned there that Tom Berenger's character ends up, asking Lonzo, "What the hell happened in Vegas? I heard what you did." So we know there that something happened in Vegas. Lonzo did something. And what he did was he ended up beating up this one Russian dude in Vegas. And the Russian kid ended up being someone really important. So that's
Yep.
a reason why the things that you'll find out what Lonzo's doing, it's for a reason.
Exactly. But also too, he's pissing a lot of people off though in this
Yes, he
film.
is. Yes,
And
he
everything
is.
without him even knowing that he's pissing anybody off.
Yeah, as
A lot
smart
of
as he is, streetwise as he is, he's clueless to the fact that he is pissing them off. Like, his head is so big and he's been doing this and getting away with this for so long. You see it in him as in the character.
his own
He's
ego is
cocky,
what right.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
His own ego has totally blindsided him and overshadowed
Right.
him
Right.
and everything to the point where he thinks he's untouchable. And I'm
Yes.
gonna get to the part where they actually go into his home and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
that touches on that a little bit. But we're gonna touch on in a few minutes.
Okay.
But also too, Alonzo and Jake also apprehend a dealer named Blue, who's actually Snoop Dogg
Right.
and everything.
Right.
And he said, "Man, fuck you." And he tells Jake, and he goes, "Really?" And then here's Alonzo go, "Well, what are you gonna do?"
Right.
What are you gonna do, rookie?
Right.
So what does he do? He goes on ahead and he goes, "You need to go on ahead and go after him." He goes, "Man, he's in a wheelchair." He goes, "I don't give a fuck." so so he goes on ahead, gets him, picks up, and basically goes, "Oh, what do you have?" He goes, "Man, I don't have nothing, man. I'm clean. I don't have no
Right.
shit on me." He goes, "Really?"
Right.
He puts his finger in his mouth and makes him puke up the crack.
Right.
And he thinks, "Man,
And
that."
and the funniest part, you want to bag that up for evidence, and Jake's like, "Hell no. All right, that's my man. Let's go." Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
But
Jake's
through
like,
that scene, we
right.
find out about a guy named Sandman, because they're
Yep.
talking to Snoop because Snoop knows something. Obviously, they all know something, but he wanted a name, and it was a man named Sandman, which leads
Yes.
us to where we run into Macy Gray's house.
Yep. And he uses a fake search warrant. Alonzo steals 40 grand from Sandman's home.
Right.
At lunch, the two Alonzo mistresses, Sarah and their young son. Alonzo then meets with the trio of corrupt. That's where I was. That's where my notes he met up with the three wise
Yep.
men. But
Yes.
you know, at first we're wondering, why did he tell him to take the menu? Why did he make Jake take the dinner menu? Because he had that folded up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he goes, okay, give her the warrant. And it was the Chinese restaurant's
It was
menu.
a menu. And it's funny that she looks at it because she knows, because she's peeping out this whole situation and she's looking at Jake. Denzel's back in her room because she thinks it's a search warrant until like she opens it up and sees that it's a freaking dinner menu at a Chinese restaurant, where she runs out of the house after them and they're getting in a car trying to start the car up. She's calling to some dudes across the street because she basically holds the money for the games. So they all come out and they start shooting. They end up in a gun battle. And they put three gun shells in the back of that beautiful freaking car.
Yeah, they do. They wind up shooting the back of his car. They run off and everything. But the funny thing is, you would think that someone would pull them over seeing gunshots in the back of the car.
Right. The whole time.
Right. But what I like about this, though, this is all in the course of one day.
Yes.
To Jake, it might actually feel like 3 days or a week.
Exactly.
With
I think we're only at lunchtime at this point. You know, like it's early in the day. This kid just started and we're already in the gun battle.
Exactly.
You know.
Let's see. Then, of course, they Alonzo then suggests that they skip town. Alonzo insists that he has control over the situation. Trades Sandman's drug money for the arrest warrant using the. So yeah, that's where we were at. And then, of course, Alonzo, Jake, and 4 other narcotics officers return to Roger's house and seize $4 million.
And that was crazy because when you watch the film and you go to Roger's house, I thought that Roger and Denzel were good buddies, like good friends, are throwing whiskey back, and it's expensive whiskey. So when they go back to the house with his team to get the $4 million, I was, you're kind of confused because you're like, they're not gonna do anything to Roger, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so they go there, dig the money up, because we find out, no, we don't find out yet, but they dig the Roger's kitchen up, get the money, the suitcase full of, I think they said it's $4 million in there. He goes and sits on the couch with Jake. And at this point, he's setting Jake up because if you notice, he has Jake hold that gun to make sure those prints are on that gun. Sits him on a couch and tells him, basically kill Roger. Jake thinks he's bullshitting. He's like, oh, you're kidding. He's laughing on a couch thinking that this is a joke. We're just going to take the money and leave. Dude, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Number one, okay, if you are going to rob somebody that has $4 million, you're not going to wind up letting that guy live. Because that guy has a chance of coming back at you, even though he's not, because you can't report $4 million, but he can actually have some connections probably to where you can bet on that he's going to get vengeance on getting his money back.
Yeah.
But also too, then I like how Denzel actually puts it though to Jake. He's like, either you kill him or else I'm going to tell them that you did PCP. You also have a gun that's fully loaded with your prints on it. And either you can go on ahead and go home, or you can go on ahead and be with us, one or the other.
Exactly.
And also too, where he actually has the money, where not Jake, but where Roger actually has the money at is underneath the floor and everything. So they're actually having to go on ahead and break the floorboards up just to get to the money itself. Right. So
and yeah. So it's all a setup, basically. I mean, it's all a setup. I think after when Jake decides that, I think he plays a joke and like takes the gun. It's like, okay, I'm gonna kill him. Bam. And because he's thinking that they're playing, they're not gonna kill him, because to Jake, like we think, Roger and Lonzo, they're good friends. There's no way. So Denzel takes the gun from Jake and shoots fucking Roger in the chest. And remember that scene, just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe.
There's a lot
Go ahead.
There is a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Shadow. You know what I'm talking about.
Like foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing in this film. There's a lot
Right.
of foreshadowing that I
Right.
love, that I'm just eating it up. But go on ahead. Keep on going.
Well, once Denzel shoots Roger in the chest, and I'm gonna say this because this is a specific part and we go back to it, but later on, but he's telling Roger, breathe, just breathe. And you hear him like, he ends up dying. And after that, you see how the setup happens. Denzel's telling one guy, you're going to call it in. When you came in, Roger shot you. So he has one of his guys with the bulletproof vest on. He has to get shot because they're trying to set it up so it doesn't look like, anything was done wrong. And so he shoots his guy, actually hits his guy. Dude's just dying, basically, and Jake is freaking out. He doesn't want to be a part of this. He just witnessed a murder plus armed robbery. A cop is shot on the floor, like, but they were so cool and calm about it. I mean, they made the call into the station, did the whole setup. Jake's prints are all over the place. He's stuck.
Right, he's stuck
there's no way out for him. He has to go along with it.
Right, and no one's going to believe him because here's the thing: he's just now getting transferred over. Right. These guys have been in the precinct for years and everything, working underneath the same people and stuff like that. So who are they going to believe? Three guys that's been under, and also two, Denzel Washington's character Alonzo, or one person. So it's their word against his. So therefore, he has no choice but to go with it.
Exactly.
And everything too, which sucks.
And he's pissed. He's absolutely pissed. They leave out, and he's just in shock as he stands outside next to Lonzo's car. Lonzo is coming to the car, looks at Jake. Jake looks at him. Lonzo gets in the car, lets Jake know, basically, let's go. And I remember when Lonzo was on the phone, I remember him saying, make sure the bathtub is clean.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention.
I'm only thinking about it because the scene that happens afterward, because then I was like, oh, that's why. You can tell the rest of that.
But yeah, that whenever that scene actually happens, it clicks with me.
Yeah.
Because at first, it's been a long time since I saw this movie. So,
same here.
So of course, when he said get the bathtub ready and make sure it's clean, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But
I thought he was talking to his lady on the phone, that the one, his side piece that he had. I thought he was maybe talking to her on the phone. Until that scene happens, that's when I'm like, make sure the bathtub's clean. That's what he was talking to them on the phone.
Right. But also too, this is also another thing that winds up happening though. Let's see here. Then of course, I like how it shows you the camera angles where Alonzo's talking to his two buddies that are not, the ones that called it in, the other one that happened to be there, the other one's getting taken away by the ambulance. But I like how here's the thing: I love how Jake's sitting there like being pissed off, and everything the whole entire time, shaking his head, just being pissed off at them. And he goes, "Get in the car." He goes, "I'm not getting in no fucking car." He goes, "Motherfucker, either you get inside the car or else I'm going to be turning you in." Right. So he gets inside the car, and then of course this is where Alonzo winds up taking him over to these Mexicans and everything too. But I know that we mentioned whenever he goes over the mistress's house and everything. It makes it look like all those people actually respect Alonzo, but they don't. They cannot stand
him. They hate him. They absolutely hate him because when he goes over to see his mistress and you find out the little boy is his son, Eva Mendes played Sarah. And when he goes over to Sarah's house in this hood where they have the pigeon, where they used to clap to get the pigeons to let them know that the cops have entered their ghetto, their hood. You think that Lonzo has the respect of all the people in that hood. You don't realize that, they hate him. They can't stand him. They know that he's dirty. And as bad as they are, they don't respect the type of work that he does.
No, even if he did do something for somebody's cousin or whatever, he still has no respect for him.
None whatsoever. None. So you know that. This is not a light person, but Lonzo's so in charge, he just doesn't care. It doesn't matter because he will have any of them in jail serving time, and they know that he has a grip on him. He has a grip on all of them.
Exactly. And then also too, like I said, Jake gets into a Mexican standoff with the corrupt officers
Right.
during that time after that whole entire thing with Roger.
Right.
Then threatens Jake, reminding him of the LAPD's routine blood test, which will identify the PCP laced cannabis
Exactly.
Jake smoked earlier in his career. Alonzo promises to protect Jake for his corruption, and Jake is forced to comply.
Because Lonzo's basically lets Jake know that the way that he runs things is this: if it's a new cop that he has with him, whatever goal that you want, if you want to be detective, he can make that happen within a month. So that's everything that you're doing. He can make it happen. So, Jake wanting to get into becoming a narc and working that, he could have that within that month if he went along with everything that Lonzo does. You know what I mean? Be part of that crew.
Exactly. And also, too, on top of that, that's also why he says, I can make you a narcotic police officer within 6 months. I can make your dreams come true, basically, if you go on ahead and comply to what I'm doing, which is number one, be corrupt, but also take down the big, heavy-handed criminals.
Right.
And stuff like that. Let all those other ones, let the trash take care of the trash. And matter of fact, he even says that. So Jake even says, so let me get this straight. So you're telling me that to let these little small ones go and cover the big ones? He goes, yeah. He said, you have to let them go so the way the trash can take care of the trash.
Exactly.
And he said, that's not justice. He goes, yes, it is. It's street justice. He goes, no, that's not the kind of justice that I want. I want the one that I signed up for. He said, well, I'm sorry, but that kind of justice that you want is not what you think. It's a fantasy.
Right.
And everything. But then, of course, this is also too, Jake gets into him, goes on ahead. Later that evening, Alonzo drives Jake to the home of Sereno, who's a gangster named of Smiley.
Smiley,
and does an errand. Jake resolutely plays poker with Smiley and his fellow gang members as he waits for Alonzo. As they talk, Smiley reveals Alonzo's situation.
And that's right. Yes, he lets. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, though. That poker game is very intense, though.
Yes.
Too. That's another thing. Oh, Missy Joe's here too.
Hey, Missy.
And that poker game is very tense. It's not a friendly game of poker at all or anything like that. Because remember, I was actually afraid for Jake because of the fact that you had these. God knows what Alonzo told these guys about him,
right,
and everything. And so you have that going on, and then as that's going on and everything, they're trying to get to know Jake and trying to fill him up, trying to figure out, okay, is this guy going to go dirty or is he going to be a clean cop? Because if he's a clean cop, I'm going to have to kill him. Right. But I also liked how he said this. Let me see what kind of gun do you have?
That's right.
And he pulls up, he said, well, I got a Beretta 9mm. Go, oh, like this one. Puts the Beretta down on the table. And he goes, yeah, just like that one. It's a 9mm Beretta. It comes with the whenever you're a cop. He said, yeah, but there's only one problem. I know what this one looks like, but I haven't seen what yours looks like.
Right.
So he goes on ahead, takes the clip out, and then goes on it. This is what Jake does: takes the clip out. Then after that, he makes sure that the chamber is actually empty, and then the gangsters are actually pretty much impressed with the fact that he caught the bullet as the chamber the bullet is actually coming out of the chamber.
That's right. Yep.
He goes, man, did you learn that at police academy school? He's like, nah, man. But you know what's funny though? There's actually a guy that's from the Fast and the Furious movies that's in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he plays the same character in every single thing. If you want a Mexican gangster or some type of corrupt person, this is his character's name's always going to be Hector.
Okay.
And Hector was actually in the very first Fast and the Furious movie.
Okay.
With Paul Walker and everything, when he goes into the AutoZone, and Hector was wanting some boost and everything from Knoxside. And so, anyways, Hector is at that table with them. and
Okay.
everything. So
Okay.
I just thought it was ironic, though. If you want like a gangster, a Mexican gangster, he always plays the role of Hector. It never
Okay.
fails.
That's
He
hilarious.
also he
That's
also played
hilarious.
in Bruce Almighty though too as like a little bit part.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can
But
tell you this, that scene with them around the table,
yeah,
they pulled off gangsters. I, like you said, you were scared for Jake. I was scared for Jake, especially when they had his gun, had his clip. And then they, oh my gosh, the funny part, when they asked him, have you had your, was it your shit pushed in, or that one
yeah.
scene?
Have you? Yeah, he goes, "Do you push your shit in?" He goes, "No, man,
Yeah,
I don't do that. I don't push my shit in." He goes, "Man, I do." And then all of a sudden you see the other guy going, "Yeah," and then he just crunches his
that's
face.
right. That was so hilarious. And that's when Jake's like, flips the table over, hits one of the guys. They end up getting Jake, throwing him down. Well, the money first, because they have a stack of money that Denzel had left there,
Right,
and they put that on the table. That was a payoff, because he had basically dropped Jake off over there for them to kill him.
right. And they're gambling with the money that they were going to kill Jake with. I'm
Yes,
wondering. Here's the thing. I'm wondering if that's like the 40K that he got from the other
Macy
place,
Gray. Yeah,
because it makes more sense that way, to be honest with you. It was like the
yeah,
40K, just half of the 40K, or maybe the full 40K, and then he
yeah.
gets to keep whatever half of the 4 million that he gets. Because why would you
Right.
go on ahead and keep 40 grand when you already have 7 mil,
Exactly.
or half of
Exactly.
7 mil?
I was thinking
So
that's where the money came from. That's the
yeah,
money. Because remember, Jake doesn't know that Lonzo left him. He thinks that he's in the back room somewhere, until one of the guys says, "By the way, you look out there. Lonzo's car's not there." And that's when he realized Lonzo left him. They rough Jake up, take him back to the bathtub. Go ahead.
yeah. No. Going ahead. I'll let you do
Okay,
this one.
they take him back to the bathtub, and that's when you realize that's why Denzel said make sure the bathtub is clean. They're gonna kill him in the bathtub.
Right.
So you're really thinking that this is gonna happen. This kid's gonna get killed, until one of the gangsters like, well, let me check his pockets for money, and takes out a wallet that Jake had picked up from the young girl that was getting raped by those two bums,
And you know
and
what's funny?
sees what's
Here's the thing. I forgot that he even picked up the wallet, to be honest with you.
yeah.
And my first instinct is like this: why would you have a Velcro wallet in the back of your pocket?
Oh, so
And
you
then
thought
this,
he
I thought that was,
wallet,
and then
a pink one?
right, and then all of a sudden, you see the ID of the Catholic school that the cousin goes to and everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
let's just, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That was a brutal scene. It goes, man, that was my cousin.
yeah.
And he's like, man, I'm telling you, I didn't hurt your cousin or anything like that. I was trying to help her. I was trying to save her.
Right.
There was these two crackheads that were getting ready to rape her and everything. I have kids of my own. I have a little girl of
Right.
my own. And so basically the gangster goes on ahead and he goes, well, you know what, man, I'm going to fuck you up. But first, I'm going to go on ahead and call my cousin just to make sure that this is going to confirm it. Now, if that
Yeah.
wallet was not found, if they decided to just go in and kill him, and then all of a
Right.
sudden, after they kill him, it would have been bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when Smiley calls up the cousin, I'm like, please, girl, tell exactly what happened, because they're about to kill this cop. And so at first, the cousin doesn't want her older cousin to be upset, and she doesn't want him to know that she was actually skipping school that day to go to a skip party. And so she kind of he forces her to tell, like, tell me the truth. I need to know. She ends up telling him, well, actually, these two bums tried to rape me. This cop was there. How does he look? She's like, he looks kind of young, a white cop. And they realize, oh, it's him. So
Yep.
she saved Jake's life at that moment. That
And
phone
also,
call.
and also too, earn the respect of the leader of that gang and everything
Absolutely.
too.
Yes.
So you know what else I was thinking? Like if they actually wanted to do a sequel to this, and this is my brain going
Yeah.
miles a minute after I saw this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really, he could actually be Jake's informant if he actually needed any information going on into that. since he actually got the royalty from it. But he could also go corrupt though too, because he also
Yeah,
gained the loyalty of that. So you have two things playing at one time here, where he can
exactly.
go crooked or he can go straight and still have the respect, and you can do your job
Right.
honestly and still have that respect of other gang members and everything else without having to be corrupt.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Because
then
he gained mad respect points with them. Because I mean, like you said, they respect an upstanding cop, than a corrupt cop. You know what I mean?
right,
Because the corrupt cop's always pulling them back in. They can always, they have something hanging over their head. You know what I mean?
right,
And that's when they realize, Jake's a good person. This is a good
right.
guy, and they let him know how dirty Lonzo is.
Right, and then after that, he gets on the subway, not the subway, but he gets on the
The bus.
bus, and I
Mm-hmm.
love that camera angle of him on the bus, being pissed off and everything, and he has the
Yes.
gun in his
Yes.
hand. He's going back over to Alonzo's house, and knocks on the door. The little boy that of Alonzo's answers the door, and
Yeah.
everything, and goes, "Hey, buddy, go on ahead. Where's your hiding spot?" He goes on ahead. He puts him in the closet. The kid hides in the closet. Eva Mendez is inside the bedroom with Alonzo. I'm
Right.
not sure if she's counting the money with Alonzo or anything like that, but anyway, she's just
Yeah.
laying on the bed naked and everything. And then, of course, Alonzo is a man. He goes, "Motherfucker, you decided to
Right.
come over here and kill me. You're a smooth ass motherfucker right here. Look at this shit." And
Right.
everything.
Right.
Like he's making him into what he wants him to be, but it's the opposite end
Exactly.
of the spectrum. Because man, you mean to tell me you survived that? Because man,
Right.
and then he goes, "My man," and the next thing you know, he
Yeah.
starts shooting at Alonzo,
Right.
and then of course it goes into the whole entire thing where Alonzo climbs up on the roof, and then of course and then of course Jake winds up falling behind him. They get into a
Right.
tug of war match, pretty much beating up each other and things like that. Then all of a sudden, that's when we wind up seeing the whole neighborhood watching them
Yes.
from the street.
What I loved about the part when Jake gets there is, if you remember earlier in the film when Lonzo first takes him to that area, he tells Jake, "Don't you ever come over here without me. Don't you ever be over here without me. This is no joke over here." Well, when Jake goes back to get Lonzo, remember, he's walking to in the apartments,
Yep.
to the apartments, gun in hand, crazy white dude just walking in the dark. You have people coming out, looking at him. No one's saying
Yep.
anything, but one dude says, "What you doing over here, man? You know you ain't supposed to be over here." Jake does nothing, looks up at him. He just continues to walk, and they're
Actually,
all looking at him.
he goes, "I'm here for Alonzo."
Yes,
And
yes,
yeah, and that's when he's like
they let him in,
yeah,
exactly, and that's when you really know they do not like Lonzo.
and I definitely love that. That was actually my favorite thing. That's gangster.
Yeah,
That's straight up gangster right there, though. Being a
absolutely,
straight cop
yes,
and white, out being stuck out in that whole entire neighborhood,
exactly,
and
yeah,
also too, you have Terry Crews, who's one of the biggest dudes and everything,
yeah,
and he's steering him up and down too, sizing him up
yeah,
and everything too. At first, they are on defense mode. They're not. They're
yes, they
not.
are.
And then all of a sudden, once you find out why he's there for Alonzo,
Yeah.
instant shutdown. Like, okay, go on ahead, be our guest, do whatever you want to do.
I have I have a fun fact. Okay, so when Jake walks up to the three guys, you have Terry Crews, you have the other dude, and then you have the one that talks. His name's Bones. He's the guy. He's the reason why Suge Knight is in prison, because when they had that conflict, that's the guy that Suge Knight ran over and killed.
What? You're serious? I had
Yeah,
no
like
idea.
seriously, look up that guy Bones.
Okay.
His name is Bones. Look him up and you'll see he's the one that Suge Knight ran over twice, and that's why he's in prison right now.
Okay. I definitely will.
So
I'll
yeah,
definitely check
so
that
that's
out.
a fun fact. That's a fun fact. And Bones had been in many different I think he was in like Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, but he always plays the gangster role.
Okay.
So anyways, I just want to put that out there. A little
Yeah,
fun
that's
fact.
actually pretty cool. Thank you for
Yeah,
telling me about that, because I had
no
no
problem.
clue.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so at this point and everything too, then all of a sudden, Denzel and him, like I mentioned before, are over there having a tug of war fight and everything. People are looking around the neighborhood and everything, watching them. And then, of course, he winds up shooting Denzel and everything while he gets inside his in his car, right?
Right.
He
Shoots
winds
him
up
in the
shooting.
ass.
Well, first he shoots him in the car, I think, and then he comes out of the car because he crashes
Yes.
his
Yes.
car, and
Right.
then
Right. Right.
he's
Right.
like,
My bad.
he's like, he's like, come on, shoot this motherfucker right here, shoot him.
Right.
And everybody's like, man, I'm not getting on that same level as you or anything like that. Over
Yeah.
here, we take care of our own. And he
Right.
goes on, the guy goes on ahead, puts down the gun for him to
Mm-hmm.
pick up. It's an unmarked gun, so it
Yeah.
can't be traced. Denzel doesn't even pick it up at first, but Jake is over there going, man, pick up the fucking gun. I dare you to pick up the gun. Because
Right.
man, I'm King Kong in this motherfucker.
That's
you know,
right. The
but
famous line.
yeah. So he's like, don't pick up that gun, see what's gonna happen. He picks it up, he shoots him in the ass with the
Right.
gun. And goes, man, because at first Denzel's like, yeah, you're not gonna shoot me. You're too soft, basically. You're not gonna
He
shoot me.
picks up
Next
a
thing,
cigarette that's right next to the gun, thinks Jake's going to kill him. I'm thinking, oh God, he's going to shoot him. But no, Denzel puts up the cigarette, that cricket cigarette, smokes it, and yeah,
and then
not thinking
basically,
he's going to kill him.
yeah, because Jake just gives him a warning shot, which is in his ass,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know it, um, Denzel goes back into his car basically and was gonna go ahead and just drive off.
Right. Because remember, the point right now is this. Denzel has to pay $1 million to the Russians, and he has till midnight. No, not 12:01, not 12 midnight. That's what he has. So that bag that he's carrying with him is that $1 million that he took from dude, and that was the money that he had to go pay off the Russians. So he's on his way to go do that, and Jake has the money, and they let
Right.
Jake leave after he shoots Denzel in the ass. They go ahead, and one of the guys says, Bones says to Jake, Jake, get the bag and go ahead and leave. And Denzel is furious because he thinks because Jake is a white cop that these guys aren't going to have Jake's back. They're going to have his back.
Right.
And when they let Jake walk and tell Jake, don't worry about him, we got you, Denzel is pissed. He looks at them as traitors and all this, but he's been hanging sentences over these guys' head if they looked at him wrong. So they can't wait for this day to happen.
Right.
That Denzel is disgraced. I mean, they even do a shot of his wife, his woman, and remember, she's up there standing. He looks up at her. She looks at him and takes the boy and walks away.
Yeah, and she's also looks out the window, and I like how she just turns her back on him, like,
yep,
you're on your own now. You're done.
Exactly.
And it's like he has no one now, no one on his side, and he goes, and he's even cursing Jake though too. He goes, Jake, you motherfucker, come back here with my fucking money, and everything.
Right.
And then then I love how he's back in the car again. Alonzo's in the car again, and then of course that's when we see this wide shot. I love the wide shot of this woman in the van next to Denzel whenever he's over there at the red light.
Yeah.
And he just looks at her, gets ready to drive, and then all of a sudden this van comes out of nowhere with AK-47s and just blasts through him inside that van.
Oh my gosh. It was such a brutal scene. I mean, they unleaded on him. I mean, oh man, they shot him up so bad. He opens up the car door, he gets out of the car, he's trying to stand up, and he's doing that breathing thing that he told dude, just breathe. So I like how they focused in on that, because that part was very important, because you hear him and it reminds you of when Roger got shot and when he was telling Roger to breathe. So he's there and they're talking in their language and they just unload on him again. And it was just so brutal, dude.
It was. And then it cuts into Ethan Hawke's character, Jake. And Jake goes home with the money and everything. But remember what Denzel said. If you don't do this, the headlines of the papers can say, police officer shot and killed left
Yep.
and left behind beloved wife and child.
Yep. Right.
Same headline that
Exactly.
was used for Denzel for
Right.
Alonzo.
Yeah, that was irony right there. I mean, this movie, I mean, this movie came out in '01. This movie's great. I love this movie. Like you said, you feel like you're on a ride with the characters. It was just a great movie. Denzel gave an outstanding performance. Ethan Hawke was great. I mean, actors at their finest.
Definitely. They were both at their caliber. Don't get me wrong.
Oh
Denzel
man.
is just phenomenal. He can play in just about anything, even a bad
Right.
film, and does an
Yes.
outstanding job with it. Ethan
Yes.
Hawke is such an underrated actor, too,
He
though.
really is.
I thought he would do a lot more after this, to be honest with you. I thought that
Right.
he would actually get more. Don't get me wrong, he's been in other stuff, but I thought he would just be getting plowed with different people coming to him after
Exactly.
this.
Yes. Yes. He's
I thought he
great.
would.
He's always been great, and this one to play alongside Denzel, and you know how Denzel is just so intense, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's a lot to live up to, and Ethan was great. He was really great.
Definitely great. Here's the thing: I wish that he would have actually been on Johnny Depp's level because because I was expecting Johnny Depp kind of level after this to be on the
Okay.
same pay
Yeah,
grade as Johnny
exactly.
Depp,
Right.
and it's
Right.
just a shame that someone like Ethan Hawke is just looking down on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he's such a
Yeah.
great actor when you look at
Absolutely.
his
He doesn't get
performances.
props. He really doesn't. And when you see him, and like I love to see him if he's on something on Netflix or Hulu, if he's in it, it's a great movie. I mean,
Definitely,
that's how I look at him. If Ethan Hawke's in it, you got a great movie.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you want to mention about the movie or anything like that? Or
Um, no,
okay,
yeah, that was it. That was
okay,
a great movie.
all right. So, where can everybody follow you at?
You can follow me on Instagram at McCree123 hotmail.com. That's MCCREE hotmail.com. Also on Twitter at Rossie Lynn Bark 1. That's Rossie Lynn, BARQ 1. And on Facebook at Rossie Lynn.
All right, and you guys can go on ahead if you want to donate to the page. You don't have to, but if you want to do so, just to keep the lights here on here at Movie Lovers Unite, how do you do that? Just go to the GoFundMe page at www.gofundme.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Of course, you guys can go on ahead and get an audio only episode of this show where you guys get your podcast from. You guys can also follow me at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook as well as on Instagram underneath the same name, and then also too on Pinterest. Then, of course, going ahead, hit me up. How do you do that? Just hit me up at gmail.com at Movie Lovers Unite at gmail.com. And then, of course, you can follow me on Stereo at Movie Lovers Unit. And, of course, on Stereo at Movie Lovers Unit and Twitter as well. And those are all the places that you can reach me at. And of course, for all your entertainment needs and wants, just go to www.movieloversunite.com. We just got done posting some movie news that came out today and yesterday. So go ahead and check that out. Another thing too is we are selling merchandise. How do you do that? Just go ahead and message us. And if you want a t-shirt, they go all the way from medium all the way up until 2X's. So we can cover all the sizes all the way up until 2X. Go in and get your shirt today. Also, too, we take we take PayPal, we take Venmo, and we also take PayPal. So whatever you'd like to do, go on ahead, pay us and everything, and I'll get a shirt out to you as soon as I can. And as always, until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And tomorrow night, too, go on in and catch us at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time for our Deadpool Part 1 review. Also, too, check us out at 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and on the Schmoes of the North channel covering Mount Schmodown. And that's Schmoes of the North covering Schmodown. Go on ahead, check us out over there. I'm actually partnered up with Frenchie. And always until next time, guys, bye-bye.
Bye.